Hello students, just a few more hints and tips on how to use Noodletools effectively. First, I want to show you there's a new content block on your NHD resource page, and it's called What are Primary, Secondary, and Tertiary Sources? So if you're having a hard time telling the difference between those, you can look at these definitions from Yale University. Now over to Noodletools. I want to show you a few more things on your bibliography page that I didn't point out before, and these are really good improvements that will help you do your best for National History Day and for some things that your teachers require. Starting with, I just want to go over some of the tools here where you have a note card display. If you want to see your note cards and work on them at the same time, now that you're starting to build your project, you have that choice. You can do show all or hide all. It will actually show you the note card right under your source. So whatever note cards you've associated with that source will show up right underneath, and you have the choice to edit it right there or print or delete. So that's a good option for you, and you can go back and hide that if you choose to. You can also show cards that are not linked to a citation. So if you started to do some cards and you forgot to put the source in, you can show the note cards that are just not cited, and then you can go back and do that. And then again, if your teacher is using Noodletools to give comments on your note cards, if you click this button, it will show you just the note cards that have comments, which might have suggestions for you to go back and change. So those are some tools there. Another thing I want to show you is new this year with the description. And as I hover over it here, I've chosen primary source for this citation. This is not a real project, so don't get caught up in whether it really is a primary source. It's just used as an example. But as I hover here, I have a choice. I can go back and I can remove primary if I change my mind. So just to show you, you have that option. And if you'd like to know how do I mark it primary, secondary, you need to check the box here from your bibliography list, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you have a choice to select an attribute. So once again, after you reviewed those definitions, you can decide, is it a primary, a secondary, or a tertiary source? I'm just going to go ahead and pick tertiary as an example and apply. And now I have a description for that source. So that's, if you see the description, that's how you do it. Now you might notice in red here that this is omitted from the print and export from the citations. And before I told you that you don't have to use every source, you might end up not citing it in your project. So you could delete it, but if you want to keep the source and just not include it in your citation, once you edit it at the very bottom of every source that you're adding to your bibliography, there's a little box down here that says include this source in my final work cited, and that's where you would edit it. It's automatically checked for everything you add to your bibliography, but in the end, if you decide you are not using that source, all you have to do is uncheck it, submit it to save it, and it will take it off your final works cited list. Now here are some other new tools. You have a choice just to show the note cards for this source, and it tells you how many note cards you have, so you can show them. And like I showed you, they'll show up right underneath your source. Or you can make a new note card right here. You don't have to go back up here and add a new note card. If you know this was a great article that you read and you have more information to write about it, you can add your new note card right here. So that's another new feature. And another thing I want to show you is some students were asking why their source doesn't have a web page. Well, it only has a web page if you include that link in the source. So if you want to be able to go back to your sources, make sure you're putting those URLs in the source. It does not do it automatically. You're responsible for adding that link. Now, if your teacher is requiring you, you can hide your note cards again. If your teacher is requiring you to show whether it's primary or secondary and you want it to show on your works cited page, you have to sort it. Here it's automatically sorted alphabetically, but you have a choice. You can sort it by currency. Currency means by date, and it automatically sorts it oldest to newest. So it'll go from the oldest source at the top to the newest. You can also sort it by media type, and depending on what kind of sources you have, this one is non-periodicals or all together. I have mostly the same from doing my examples, and then I have one website at the bottom, which again I omitted from my works cited page. And then last but not least, if you want to show primary and secondary, you need to sort it first. So now it's sorted by all primary sources together, all secondary sources together, and tertiary sources at the bottom. Now when I go to print or export it, I can choose Word. Probably Word and Google Docs are going to be your two most popular choices. If I print it to a Google Docs, it will automatically export it. And because I sourced it, or sorted it rather, first, it's going to show you all the primary sources together, secondary and tertiary sources together. And remember, this automatically makes a Google Doc in my Google Drive. So here's my works cited. It put my primaries together, it put all my secondaries together, and then my tertiary. So that's how you sort it automatically. And the last thing I want to show you is here, if you are planning on competing for National History Day, another tool I highly suggest using is this analysis. And this is with one click you can see your project. You can see how many citations you have, how many note cards. It'll tell you here. And then you can look at a couple statistics. Is this the right balance of online sources? Let's see. I have a couple print, I have one web, and all these databases. You want to look and decide, is that a good balance? This says, did I make full use of the resources? Well, it looks like I only have 2 types, so maybe I need to go back and find some different types of sources. And there's the citation type there. And last but not least, the currency. It will show you the age of your sources. Now remember, if you're using primary sources, of course you want some older sources showing, because it will be around the time of your event. So that's just a couple tips and hints how to use Noodletools effectively, especially if you'd like to compete or you would like an A on your project. Remember, I'm in the library. If you need additional help, come and see me.